stuff like this is.
It's going to be interesting to see what Rusty Wallace does now. He's cleared the lap car of Buckshot Jones. He'd been running 29.25, which is about what Dale Jarrett and Ricky Rudd was running. Now he's out there in that clean air. We'll see how fast he runs.
Sterling Marlin told us this morning he runs 4 to 5 miles, what, 3 or 4 times a week, Darryl?
Yeah, you got to condition, and I know all the drivers do. But these young guys, I mean, just think about it, folks. You play golf or anything else. A 25-year-old kid out there on the golf course, and you're 50, 45, 50. Who's going to end up on the 18th green? Who's going to be in the best shape?
Well, Sterling told the local paper he had no plans to try the Boston Marathon. It doesn't pay anything.
Yeah.
Well, here's your point battle. Kenseth, the runner-up. Marlin, the point leader, as we come here to Texas. And right now,
for
11th place. Thanks.
And that's a good run again for Mike Skinner. What we have to go back to is the fact that they didn't pit under green a while ago, caught that caution. They were fixing to come to pit road, stayed on the lead lap, and now here he's up there in the 13th position, still on the lead lap at lap 202.
Former winner of this race, Terry Labonte.
Rusty Wallace is running some of the fastest lap times we've seen all day. 29:20 that lap, 29:30 that lap. So he's running some fast lap times and pulling away from Jarrett.
Talked about Jeff Gordon earlier. Back there didn't make up any spots when they started this race. Started way back in the 26th position. Now he's up here running for 6th, battling Ryan Newman.
Well, the cautions have worked in his favor. They've had a chance to work on the car. You got a smart driver like Jeff and a good crew chief like Robbie. They'll figure that thing out, and they'll get it better as the day goes on. And when you've been bitten at Texas as many times as he has, you got to be a little cautious, you know. Get the thing under you good before you start racing.
Last year, his first top 5 here. This is one of, I think, only 3 President Winston Cup tracks where Jeff Gordon has not reached victory lane.
But boy, Ryan Newman was able to get back to the throttle so much sooner off of turn 2. It just lunged off the corner, and he passes Jeff Gordon before they get to turn 3. Yeah. Right there, right in the center of the corner. Beats him to the throttle, looks like 3 or 4 spots.
Yeah, Jeff just kind of eased up out of the throttle, let him go back because he's a little quicker, and that's just being smart.
Gordon looking for his first top 5 since he won Kansas last year. Rusty Wallace leads Dale Jarrett by 1.3 seconds. 205 complete, 129 to go. Dale Jarrett, Ricky Rudd, Kurt Busch, Jimmy Johnson, the top 5. .211 laps complete. 45-year-old Rusty Wallace, Dale Jarrett, Ricky Rudd ahead of a couple of the young guns. Kurt Busch and Jimmy Johnson there in 4th and 5th, and Ryan Newman 6th. What do you think today, DW? Old age and treachery, or youth and exuberance?
Obviously, those first 3 or 4 guys there, those first 3 have got great race cars, and they're going to be hard to beat. But you got Jimmy Johnson and Kurt Busch and Ryan Newman looming right behind them, lurking right there behind them. And Jeff Gordon kind of, you know, in 7th place. It's going to be interesting to see if these young guys can get up here and challenge these old guys at the end of the day. And I don't mean old guys in an unkind way. I mean, it's the veterans versus the younger crowd, you know, what we've looked at for most of the year.
Right now, Jimmy Johnson about a lap ago just passed Kurt Busch for the 4th position. So now Jimmy Johnson in the 48 and 4th, Kurt Busch in the 97s and 5th. All right, we want to compare some miles per hour here, and what we're going to do it as they go down in the middle of 1 and 2. Slowest part of the racetrack down in turn 1 and 2. This will be Rusty Wallace, the leader, and we're going to compare it to Dale Jarrett, who's running 2nd. We'll look at it at the other end of the straightaway here, maybe down in turn 3 and 4.
163.5 was the low reading on Rusty at that end.
There you see it right there. That was at the end of the straightaway. 4 miles per hour faster, Dale Jarrett was at the end of the back straightaway going off into turn 3 than Rusty Wallace. The overall lap times right now they're running is about the same. Jarrett was just a little bit quicker than Wallace at time, 29.68 to 29.75.
And that translates, Larry, to about a 6/100ths a second that Dale is gaining on Rusty per lap.
Ever so slightly. He's about 2 1/4 seconds behind.
And Rusty's pulled out a pretty nice lead in a very short period of time over the two Yates cars. Jimmy Johnson hanging right in there behind him.
Clear. Good
8th
job.
place, Mark Martin moves underneath Bill Elliott.
Well, what happened to Mark? He got sideways down here, got loose down here in the middle of 1 and 2, and he lost a bunch of track position. A bunch of cars got by him. He's just working his way back up through there.
"16 cars on the lead lap, the product of 2 long runs of green flag racing that encompassed 2 pit stops under green. As now Jarrett starts to work past Buckshot Jones.
Clear, all clear.
And all those green flag laps have gotten a bunch of people in trouble, got them laps behind them based on pit strategy and their car not being maybe as like they'd like for it to be.
And speaking of strategy, for the most part, everybody will have to make 2 more pit stops should it go green the rest of the way.
Mark Martin has moved up and caught Jeff Gordon.
Now, Mark's got a fast car. Watch his lap times, and like I said, he just got caught out of position down there a few laps ago, and he fell way back, but I think he's got a pretty good race car.
You can see he's quite a bit quicker than Rusty Wallace last time by.
There you see the interval up in the top right-hand corner right there. 10 seconds behind, about a third of a lap. About 7,300 down in the middle of 1 and 2, climbing down the backstretch. About 80, shy 8,500. Falls back to about 7,200 down in the middle of 3 and 4. A little less RPMs in the middle of 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 because you didn't carry as much speed into turn 3 on the shorter backstretch. About 200 more RPMs, 192 miles per hour getting into turn 1 at the end of the front stretch. Interval staying about the same, about 10.5 seconds.
You know, we talk about being out front in clean air, and we saw how Dale Jarrett just took off most all day. But, you know, he's had a problem getting by that 44 car. And you know, Larry, sometimes certain cars upset your car more than others. A particular brand, maybe you can run good behind a Pontiac, but you can't run good behind a Dodge. And this Dodge seems to be giving Jarrett a ton of trouble to try to get around him.
And he's definitely losing ground to leader Rusty Wallace. It wasn't many laps ago. It was 2 1/4 seconds. Now it's over 3 seconds and losing more everywhere around the racetrack.
Now his last lap was 0.3 of a second slower than Rusty's. Dick Berggren?
Dale Jarrett just keyed his radio and asked his spotter if they would please go to Buckshot Jones' spotter and see if he would give him a break. They'd like Buckshot to move over. It is so hard to pass here.
And he did just that. Here is Bill Elliott on pit road. Now the Dodges have been stopping a little earlier under green. He's headed for Matt Yoakum.
And, Mike, they haven't got the best gas mileage as they would have liked, as Mike Ford mentioned earlier in the show. Bill Elliott comes in. One problem from Elliott, he came on the radio, is they're going to make a track bar adjustment. He said the water temperature in the car has climbed to 300 degrees. As he finally refires the car, left side tire's going on. They did make a track bar adjustment. He has been fighting, push the car stall. It's still on the jack now. He's down and away. A long stop for Bill Elliott. 18.8 seconds.
Now they were just on pit road about 30 laps ago.
This is early, and I think it may have been unexpected because that was not a very good stop, and it didn't look like everybody was confused.
Yeah, actually, it's about 10 or 15 laps earlier than they should have been. They still will have to make another stop. You know, everybody we talked earlier has to make 2 stops. They just don't need a caution to go
Look at this, Larry. Look at that 48 go by that 28 car as he marches forward.
Battle for third.
Boy,
Rudd's off the pace.
I think Rudd, either he's coming to pit road or something happened.
He just lost a lot of ground.
No, I think he's off the pace.
Oh.
Yeah, he just run a 31.54.
He's got something wrong.
Kurt Busch is in.
I wonder if some of these guys are all of a sudden experiencing tire trouble, Larry. They've let the air down. They got the rubbers out of the springs. The cars are sinking a little bit more.
Well, trust me, everybody knows that Elliott Sadler had a tire that was tore up. You can believe it went through all 43 pits. And so if they feel anything, if I've seen that as a crew chief, I'm going to tell my driver, you feel any vibration, you tell me because we're coming to pit road.
Well, that's 2 top 6 cars. in just a couple of laps. So Matt, Bill Elliott stopped.
Well, let's check in with Mike Ford. Mike, you were really close on fuel. Were you out of gas when Bill came in because the car was silent?
Well, I couldn't ask what you said, but you know, we came off turn 4. He felt it sputter, so he came on in. We planned on running a couple more laps to squeeze the fuel, but you know, he was pretty quick to make the call and hit pit road, and I think we'll be all right.
When are you going to stop next? Have you had a chance to calculate that yet?
I still can't hear what you're saying, but I don't know where that's going to pan out. These other guys are going to be stopping here pretty quick.
No problem.
Jimmy Johnson stopped. And we're corrected. It was not 30 laps ago that they were in. We'll update that for you in a minute.
But you know what I'm also seeing? Everybody, for the most part, was on pit road about lap 172. That's about 162 laps to go. With the flirtation of a little bit of tire problem, you know you have to make 2 stops. They're maybe dividing it out to about 54 to 55 laps a run. Dick Berger.
That's what's happening.
Well, they're not sure what's going on with Ricky Rudd's car. They think he has a throttle problem. There's been a good deal of chatter on the radio between McSwain, his crew chief, and Rudd. They do think that the throttle is hanging on. Meanwhile, the 88 has just radioed in. He's out of gas.
Larry, you're right. It was 55, 56 laps ago that they were in, that all these cars were in. Kevin Harvick's on pit road. Bobby Labonte.
88 slow down the back, y'all. He's out of gas. Larry, what happened here? Now, this is a little bit early for all these cars to be stopping. Are they running faster, running harder?
Well, we even documented that the race pace had picked up some speed a little bit, and you run faster, you use more fuel.
Well, Jarrett's out of gas. He radioed in, and he's coasting through 3 and 4 as we speak.
Ricky Rudd is in. Buckshot Jones is in. Jarrett is coasting in. And Rusty Wallace is running away. He and his teammate Ryan Newman. Dick?
Well, they're going to try to do this as a normal pit stop for Ricky Rudd. The plan is to not open the hood and try to fix that throttle. He's been wiggling his foot around on the throttle linkage in hopes that somehow or another that's going to free it up. But boy, what a heartbreaker. Robert Yates, 2 cars with a shot to win the race. Dale Jarrett just comes by his teammate out of gas. Jarrett very angry on the radio, conversing with his crew about how this could have possibly happened to a car that had a chance to win the race. Still Mike, fuel going into Jarrett's car, 1 can in. Left side tires being changed. You can believe they're going to get every drop of fuel they possibly can into this car. Slow on the left rear. Oh, man. You just watch it go up in smoke as meanwhile the 24.
Oh,
Jeff
he can't get
Gordon
out.
parks in front of him. Jarrett stuck in the pits. They have to back his car up. He loses still more time. Meanwhile, Gordon backs up. Holds him up again. Jarrett still on pit road.
Gordon had overshot his pit.
He had to back up.
With each other at all.
Boy, a bad day turned worse.
Yeah, you cannot go across the line in front of your pit box. Gordon was in front of that line right there, and he had to back up before they could complete the pit work.
Meanwhile, Rusty Wallace's crew makes a flawless stop, gets him in and out in 14.7 seconds.
Good pit stop. His teammate Ryan Newman has assumed the lead here
Here
at
he
lap
comes right now,
231. Now he's on pit road.
All of a sudden, the 88 and the 28, 2 team cars working together, dominate the first part of the race. Now here the 2 and the 12 are dominating the second part of the race.
And Dale Jarrett was frustrated, and I think we're all a bit surprised that suddenly the fuel mileage has gone in the dumper.
Yeah, Larry, what's up with this? You keep better notes than that. What's going on?
Steve Burns.
Well, Mike, Ryan Newman likes his race car the way it is. No changes at all to that number 12 car. Just 4 tires of gas. Same for his teammate, Rusty Wallace. And Newman's back underway.
Good stop for Newman as well. It hands the lead to Mark Martin. Tony Stewart is now second. Matt Kenseth, Sterling Marlin, Mike Skinner.